In episode 5, we're going to have a look at how you can obtain and maintain that elusive balance of mind, body and spirit. The first thing I'd say is check out all the resources on the Life Train Me Academy. A lot of what I'm talking about touches on various things, but there's a wealth of information, resource and knowledge just at your fingertips here, so use that to the maximum. So physical. So in order to maintain the physical wellness that we spoke briefly about earlier, it's important to get sort of the exercise in, go for walks, exercise your body, make sure your body is strong. In order to do that, we also need to look at taking regular massages, find a therapist who suits you. So the top tips I'd say in terms of finding a therapist is make sure you like them, make sure you like this system of working. Every therapist is different. You can have therapists with the same qualifications who just work in completely different ways. So if you go for a massage but you find it too strenuous or not strenuous enough, don't be afraid to tell a therapist or to find a different therapist, because you will find one that does the therapies in the way that you need them to be done. If you can find a therapist who buys into the whole concept of mind, body, soul, and even better, obviously in the world of natural therapies, alternative therapies, these concepts are pretty much well known. So you'll struggle to find a therapist who doesn't buy into it. But if you can find someone who actively practices it, I'd say that's the key. So people like core therapists, kinesiologists, people who are qualified to do testing to find out where the root cause of injuries come from. So things like core therapies, when we start a core therapy treatment, we will always do muscle testing to identify what muscles aren't working. That can be the physical muscles, like we've talked about before. It can also link to the emotions. So we will carry out muscle tests to find the strong muscles, check the strong muscles against a whole host of different things to do with the mind, the body and the soul, to see what isn't functioning. So the more developed a therapist's understanding is of the mind, body and soul connection, and the more that their qualifications give them access to all of those 3 different elements of well-being, then the better or the more longer lasting the results of your therapy will be. So we've got the physical massage that will look at the pains, the muscle strains, just the general aches and pains. So there's also alternative to massage as well. So quite often people don't physically like being massaged, so there are different alternatives as well. A really good example is cupping therapy. There are various types of different cupping therapies. So cupping is basically where you get a cup, it could be a glass cup or a plastic cup, and you create a vacuum within that cup. Now fire cupping uses, as the name would suggest, fire to create a vacuum within a glass cup. You create the vacuum, pop it on the skin. The skin will bubble, in effect, will bubble up into the glass of the cup. And what's actually happening there is the cup and the vacuum within the cup is lifting the skin, it's lifting the soft tissue and it's lifting the muscle. And that's allowing the energy flow, the chi, it's allowing the blood to flow, and it's physically clearing the blockage just by lifting everything up. So you're getting that flow to that spot. The more toxins there are in the system at that point, in that muscle, in that soft tissue, the more the bruising will happen, but you will get an element of bruising in every cupping session. Cupping doesn't hurt, can feel a bit odd. The more tight you are, the more toxins there are in the system, the more odd it will feel and the tighter it will feel. But the relief that you get when you take the cup off is lovely. Kind of everything drops down. The energy is, the stagnation is cleared, the blockage is cleared, and you get that rejuvenated feeling underneath the muscle. Plastic cups are the same. They just use a suction technique rather than the fire, so you don't get the warmth of the fire that you get with the fire cupping. But it's some therapists use it. I prefer it sometimes, that it's easier to tweak. So if you want to take the pressure off a little bit, it's a lot easier than with a glass cup. Or if you want to add a lot of air, if you want to sort of increase the vacuum, it's a lot easier with a plastic cup. So there's no real difference other than the lack of the warmth. The Indian method of cupping is slightly different as well. They kind of nick the skin before they put the cup on, so that actually draws blood out of the body, which the belief there is that it physically gets rid of the stagnant blood, so the cup will actually fill with blood in the Indian version of cupping. Again, the more toxins there are in the body, the more dehydrated the body, the longer the bruising will last. But bruising tends not to last for longer than a week. And you see it, I think the Australian Olympic swimming team used it a couple of Olympics ago and you saw them with all the rings on their back. That's kind of what you're left with at the end of a cupping session, but it doesn't hurt. Acupuncture and Moxibustion. So acupuncture is the use of needles along the meridian. So I've already talked about the 12 main meridian channels. So an acupuncturist, there's 2 different types of acupuncture again, or acupuncture can be used in 2 different ways. It can be used for localized pain. So for example, if you have a sore knee, you can put needles in the knee to alleviate the pain around the knee. Or you can use it in the energetic sense as well to remove blockages from the energy channels. So this is where I kind of come back to that analogy between the light switch and the lamp. You may have a blockage in a channel that's causing pain in your shoulder, to come back to the shoulder. But the acupuncturist will put a needle in the foot. That takes a lot of getting your head around, but it's basically the principle that that's the light switch. The shoulder's the lamp, the foot's the light switch. I mean, that's oversimplifying it, but that's the principle. So there's various points on the meridian that if you pop a needle in and activate that needle, that will clear the blockages in the meridian. So that will help with physical pain, but as we've already seen, it will also help with the emotional and the soul element of it as well. Moxibustion it uses acupuncture points. Quite often it's used whilst an acupuncture needle is in the point. And Moxibustion uses Chinese herbs to create an intensive heat. It's almost like a cigar that gives off an intense heat, and you either use it with the needle to heat the needle up, or you can use it just up by itself and just pop it over the acupuncture point, and instead of piercing the skin, which is fantastic if people don't like needles, it just gives off an intense heat into the acupuncture point, which stimulates the blood flow and has a similar effect to the acupuncture needle going in. So things like reflexology. So reflexology has been used in ancient civilizations and is one of the therapies that have had the longevity to come through to modern day. Reflexology uses the idea of the meridians. So it's based on the principle that your meridians flow through your body and the turning point is the feet. So that the feet is when the meridian turns and starts coming back up the body. So the reflexologists believe that you have a map of your body on your feet. So by carrying out a foot massage in a prescribed way, they can identify and treat the whole body just through the feet. So for example, fertility points around your ankle, across the top of your feet, that's deemed to be a fertility point. So quite often you'll hear people say they have amazing results with reflexology. If people have been struggling to conceive, go and see a reflexologist. The reflexologist will show you points around your ankle and the top of your foot that you can stimulate, that will impact and have a positive impact on your fertility, on your reproductive system. You can also do reflexology on your hands and your ears as well. So that's again the belief system that the body is mirrored on the hands and in the ears, and by stimulating points on the hands and the ears as well as the feet, you can treat the body. So when you're carrying out a reflexology treatment, you feel sort of almost like grains of sand or little bubbles beneath the skin, and you just correlate the site of the bubbles to the place on the body, and you can tell where that person is experiencing blockages that need to be released in order to maintain good health. Another method similar to acupuncture is acupressure as well. So again, rather than using needles, you just press in predetermined points of the skin. Acupressure is really, really handy if you're in a situation where you can't acupuncture yourself. So for example, I use it if I can feel I'm getting a cold, I use the acupressure points around here just to stimulate and to clear the sinuses. So it's dead simple. There's some really easy techniques you can use. So one trick that I use as well with the hand reflexology, and again this links to the chakras, so in a stressful situation it's really good to activate the solar plexus and to bring the solar plexus back into balance, either to stimulate it or to bring it down if you're kind of feeling that fight or flight. The solar plexus point on the hand is there, so it's a really, really good technique in a situation where you can't have a full therapy. A really, really good way to just kind of calm yourself down is to take deep breaths and just to push solar plexus reflexology point in the middle of the palm of the hand. So to breathe in and to breathe out, and as you're breathing, just gently press and release. That's a top tip if you're ever struggling with anxiety. For the sinuses, for the acupuncture for the sinuses, I literally get my hands, and if you feel the bottom of your cheekbone, and press in as if you're trying to get underneath the cheekbone. So you press in and you press up, right along the cheekbone as much as you can. And what you should feel is a clearing. Starting from there, And it might actually feel quite tender as well. So if you're starting to get a cold, or in the summer if you're suffering with hay fever, that might feel just a little bit tender. So the key is just to push it in and up, right along that cheekbone there. EFT is an amazing treatment. Check out Patricia's series on EFT on Life Train Me. She goes into a lot of detail, but that is, again, similar to tapping, similar to acupressure, various predetermined points that you tap to get rid of emotional blockages, which could be impacting on your physical body. So we've touched on a lot of the physical therapies that you can have done, and there's a lot of things that you can do yourself as well to maintain that healthy body, or the balance of the body. So one of those is fitness, just keeping generally fit. So it can range, it depends on what your level of fitness is, and there's great series on here in terms of yoga and looking after that physical body. Personal trainers as well. If you struggle with the motivation or the accountability, find a personal trainer. Again, the same with a therapist. Find a personal trainer who is qualified in what you want to do. Somebody that you gel with, somebody whose aura you can stand, or somebody who you enjoy being around, and also somebody who gets the goals that you're trying to achieve. There's different types of fitness. What do you want to do? Do you want to be able to run a marathon? Do you want to be able to lift more? Do you just want to be able to run around with the grandkids? Set a goal that you want to achieve and make sure you find a personal trainer who is aligned with those goals. There's no point going to a personal trainer who will get you powerlifting 3 times your body weight if all you want to do is be able to kick a ball on a Saturday. So find a personal trainer who will work with you. So there's also exercise, for want of a better word, Tai Chi, Pilates and yoga. We've already spoken about the yoga in terms of the Life Train Me Academy, but things like Tai Chi and Pilates, they combine fitness and flexibility with more of a spiritual element as well. So you're not only getting the body, you're also starting to get the emotional and the spirit included in the activities that you're doing. So Tai Chi, yoga and Pilates are very much around deep breathing, engaging with that spiritual side of things as well. So things like yoga and Pilates, you start off the session using the breathing. So you go into your breathing, which is starting to wake up the parasympathetic nervous system. So things are going on beyond the physical, beyond just getting rid of aches and pains. And that's when you start to awaken the subconscious, the unconscious self. And that's when the emotional and the spiritual side starts to play. So if you can find classes or even one-on-one tuition or online, that's where you can start to bring about the balance of the physical, emotional and spiritual. Martial arts as well. Quite often martial arts is overlooked, but especially Chinese martial arts take into account the energetics. So you've seen videos of people on YouTube that can throw people across the room just using their little finger. That's an extreme version, but quite often martial arts use the chakra points or the energetic points, the meridians, to be able to infiltrate the body of their adversary in order to find weak spots on the bodies of their opponents. So they take a lot of time to understand the spiritual element of the mind, body and soul in order to be able to tap into that, to use it to their advantage. So the all-encompassing message of being fit is to try and look at it from mind, body and soul. So do something that will get you fit, but will also start to energise, to rebalance the mind and the soul as well. Nutrition is a massive part of keeping fit and healthy. If you start to view food as fuel for your body, it makes a massive impact on how you view food. So you would not have a fantastic expensive sports car and run it down to nothing, run the tank down to nothing. You'd never just keep putting £5 worth of cheap petrol in a sports car. So don't do that to your body. Your body needs a good breakfast in order to start the day. You need to keep your energy levels, your fuel levels up during the day, and you need to be feeding your body with what it needs. So we talk about healthy diets. And again, there's so many amazing tips on this academy for sort of eating raw, foraging, using what nature gives us. Go back to our primeval selves as well, and eating for seasons. Eat as healthily or as naturally as possible. Build into that as well food intolerances. So you remember I talked in an earlier episode around problems with the gut. and how food intolerances can stem from when you're stressed or from a physical trauma. It's always good as well just to check out that you haven't got any food intolerances, because you could be eating a diet that's massively healthy, but if you have an intolerance to something you're eating, then that will be causing fatigue. Basically, with a food intolerance, what happens is the body spends so much energy just simply trying to absorb the nutrients from the food and digest the food properly, that by the time the food has passed through the digestive system, there's not much energy left for the body to do its thing on. So it's always worth, if you're eating a fantastic diet but you're not losing weight, or you're feeling tired, or you have dark rings under your eyes, you have dry patches on your skin, bloating, if any of those are happening and your diet is good, then it's always worth going to get an intolerance test. So there's other ways as well, other therapies as well, that can start to look at the emotional side of things. So things like Reiki. Reiki is a lovely treatment from Japan. And Reiki is based again on the principle that we all have energy flowing through the body. Reiki actually means in Japanese universal energy. Rei, universal, ki is the energy. And it stems from the belief that everybody has energy flowing through them at all times, and in order for us to be disease-free, happy and healthy, there shouldn't be any blockages. So again, it's mirroring all of the things that we've talked about throughout this series. Reiki practitioners channel the energy, and it's the energy that clears the blockages itself. So it's almost like, to go back to the trades analogy, it's almost like a plumber flushing through a plumbing system, using the water to flush through the radiators to get everything moving properly. So it's the same analogy as that. That has a fantastic, it can reduce swelling, it can reduce the physical symptoms of pain and disease, but it's also a really nice relaxing therapy. Again, depending on the training and the expertise of the practitioner, it can also be used in conjunction with things like Qigong. We've looked at the links between organs and emotions. So for example, the liver is linked to anger. So if somebody has if the treatment has shown that somebody has a real issue with anger, that anger is their dominant emotion, that they have an imbalance with their anger emotion, you can use Reiki, you can use Qigong, all of the energetic work to bring that liver organ and meridian down, just to rebalance it, just to create that sense of balance as well. So that's, Reiki is an amazing, if you can get a therapist that combines the physical massage with the more kind of spiritual and emotional remedy of the Reiki, then you're kind of, again, you're balancing your mind, body and soul through that one treatment again. So I'm very conscious of the fact that I've talked about therapists and what other people can do to help you, but actually there's a lot you can do to help yourself as well. So taking Reiki as an example, well, Reiki is a fantastic way of starting to get more in tune with the sort of the spiritual and emotional side of your physical well-being. Kylie is doing a wonderful series on Reiki, so I won't go into too much detail, but one of the basic things you can do is Hatsureiho, which is a daily, almost meditative ritual that we do as Reiki practitioners every morning. You start with the breathing. So what this does is start to centre yourself. You can feel the muscles relaxing. It's really hard when you're doing the deep breathing to form tension in your body. So the more you do it, the more used to it you get, and the more the body actually starts to see this as a trigger. So as soon as you start the breathing, the more you do, the body just knows that this is Hatsureiho that's happening. Now, as a Reiki practitioner, you say to yourself as well, I'm about to start Hatsureiho, and again, that sends the intention up to the universe, so your body knows as well that you're about to start the process. So it's literally very, very gently, and in time with the breathing, you just rid the body of the energy, and you start to get the energy flow going through. You do that 3 times, and you do the other side. So same with Japanese, is the same with Chinese. It's all about the balance. So you never just treat one side, you always do both sides. Now I've done that quite quickly there. In practice, that would probably take me 10 minutes just to do that whole kind of breathing until I was in a position where I was really relaxed, where I was connected to the universe. And then the dry bathing you do that in line with your breathing. So it can take 10, 15 minutes just to kind of get all that through. But when you've done the dry breathing, just again connect to the energy. I always do that. There's different ways of doing it, but I always do that just by connecting my 2 middle fingers and just imagine the energy coming through. Again, you can do it either through your crown chakra or through your fingers, but you imagine the energy coming down into your dantian, so what the Japanese call the dantian. So you just imagine the energy coming down through the crown or through the finger, like I say. You collect the energy with the in-breath, take it down into your sacrum, into your dantian. And then with the out-breath, you expand it back. You expand it around your body and you expand it back into the ether. And doing that every day. Some people do it morning and night. Some people prefer to just do it at night, or some people do it in the morning. But it's a really nice way of just really, really gently just relaxing everything, and just a really positive start to the day. You can start to introduce mantras as well into that. So again, there's ways that you can get balance within your chakras and your auras yourself without having to go and see anybody else. So it kind of links to the Reiki principles as well, in that you almost try and visualize the energy within your body. So if we start with the chakras, so as we've gone through already, we know the position of the chakras and we know the colours of the chakras. So really, really easy thing to do is just to shut your eyes, and again, start with the breathing. And once you've been doing the deep breathing for a while and you're in that sense of relaxation, just try and picture your chakras. Now you can picture them visually or you can feel them. One by one, just see moving. You can start at the top or you can start at the bottom. I found that my clients struggling with sort of fatigue, chronic fatigue and things, it's better to start at the bottom because that's the grounding energy. If you're wanting to be more creative as well, sometimes you want to start at the top. I tend to start with the grounding chakra at the bottom. But just imagine the chakras, see the colours, and you can sense them spinning as well. A good thing to do if you're new to this is not to overthink it. So literally get into the routine of the breathing, shut your eyes, imagine the body, not your body necessarily, but just imagine the body, and see if there's any colours that come to mind. So if you're visioning a body that's your body and you see a lot of green, then that's kind of telling you, that's your intuition telling you that the heart chakra is the imbalanced one, or that's the one that needs the attention. If you can't feel that, that's fine, don't beat yourself up about it. You don't even have to see it to be able to fix it. If you're new to all this, that might all seem a little bit too much of a big step to start with. But there's tons and tons of easier things you can do in your day-to-day life just to keep your mind, body and soul in balance. So for example, going for more walks, taking 20 minutes out at a lunchtime to go outside, sniff the fresh air, smell the flowers, listen to the birds, just to connect with nature. By going for a walk, you're also doing the physical stuff. So we talked about the importance of gut health in terms of mental health and physical well-being. Walking is the body's natural way of starting peristalsis. So the more you walk, the more your gut will start working properly. So although the sort of the arbitrary 10,000 steps a day, if you try and aim to walk any amount of distance a day, that will increase your gut health. It'll relax you and it'll connect you to nature if you're outside. Read a book. So we talked already about sort of the cultural aspect and the 5 ways to well-being. Learn something new, read a book, even if it's an easy read book. Just take yourself out of the day-to-day, just give yourself half an hour, 20 minutes where you sit down, read a chapter of a book, just to switch your mind off from the busyness that's going on all around you. Again, check out the mindfulness series on here. That's got some fantastic tips just in terms of how to distract yourself from all the chaos that's going on around you. Travel more. Go and check out different cultures, go and see how different people live, how different people experience life, and see different things, travel the world. Music is a fantastic way of connecting with your soul. It doesn't have to be classical, it doesn't have to be panpipes. You can listen to heavy rock, punk, anything that gets an emotion flowing, that gets you raring, ready to go. It could be loud music that wants to get you out there. You could use it however you wanted to. People listening to music when they go for a run or even go for a walk because they find that it helps clear the mind, but you can use it to energise yourself as well. Just listen to how you're feeling on a certain day, and pick music that goes with that. Go to the theatre as well, experience culture, experience the emotion that you get through going to the cinema or from watching, just sitting down and watching a film, taking the time out to feel those emotions through watching somebody else experiencing them. So your physical environment also plays a big part in especially in terms of the emotional well-being, mental well-being. So look at things like feng shui, see if there's anything you can do to your physical environment, your office, your therapy room, your study or your home in general. See if there's anything you can do to make that living space more attractive, more relaxing, more healthy to you. Basics of feng shui: get more plants in, more living things, increase the natural light if you can, but just have a look at concepts like that to see if there's anything like that you can feed in. The most fundamental thing I tell all of my clients is drink plenty of water. So hydrated body means that your blood is flowing properly, that your energy is flowing, that your chi is flowing, and we are essentially water beings. Such a high percentage of our body is water. So the more water you can give it, the better your cognitive function, the better you feel emotionally, and all of that links to a healthy, happier spirit as well. So the main principles I'd say: keep your body healthy, make sure that what you're doing feels good, and that you're trying to connect with your emotions and keeping your spirit healthy and happy. And if you do all of those three things successfully, then you will have a happy, healthy balance of body, mind and spirit. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed my series. I hope it's given you a little bit of insight into the impact imbalances in your body, mind and spirit can have. And I hope that it's taught you a little bit of the basics in terms of how to maintain that healthy lifestyle, and how being healthy isn't just about going to the gym and looking after that physical side. You've got to look at all the other different elements as well.